Greetings and good day. It's Susan Kosh with 3 Times Ethical in Africa. Thanks for joining me for this video. I am a social information architect, a social entrepreneur, and the founder of 3 Times Ethical. Today on this video for 3 Times Ethical in Africa, where we imagine what it might be to be ethical in Africa with respect to AI. We're going to talk about some social and ethical issues that are carefully curated from some articles that I've seen online over the last week or so, and share with you particularly 2 hotspots for AI in Africa, one being in Kenya and the other in South Africa. So yes, join me on this journey today. Again, as always, the little intro piece typically has a spot. I have a spot for PeacemakerAI.net, which is a project I've been working on as a spinoff out of the Two Row Flow Cultural Commons, where we incorporate two-eyed seeing in order to cultivate right relationship with Indigenous peoples or First Peoples globally. Yes, and then between First Peoples, Indigenous peoples, and non-Indigenous peoples, which is the rest of us, 5% Indigenous, 95% non-Indigenous, and there is a dramatic asymmetry in that information between what we know about Indigenous peoples and what they know about non-Indigenous peoples. So we're trying to correct that with PeacemakerAI.net, so check it out. And yes, we're here today proudly representing as a brand partner to Personal AI, which happens to power PeacemakerAI.net. And yeah, let's dive in. I think we have about 5 articles that we're going to take a look at. Thank you for joining me, and let's go. All right, so the first article that I've curated and that we're going to do a deep dive into with respect to pull quotes with a summarization and some possible insights from yours truly. It has to do with a study done by Google showing that there's major AI interest from South Africa. So let's take a look at this. Share the screen. Let's take a look at this article. So it's from a website called Connecting Africa. And this is emerging tech section, and it's called Google Study. Again, shows major AI interest from South Africans. This was posted on the 18th day of January 2024, so hot off the press. And in this case, actually, the press is a study done by Google, which is referenced down here. If we just scroll down, where is it referenced here? Actually, not that far down. There was a link that went through here. Don't know if this has been updated. Oh, no, it is. There it is. It's not in blue. It's in regular bold typeface. But if we click through here, Our Life with AI, the reality of today and the promise of tomorrow. Yes. So here we have the Google study. Shows optimism about AI's potential. This is good news. A year ago, it was quite a doom and gloom scenario. We were being convinced by big tech mostly that AI was just about to take over the world and we'd lose all of our jobs. Now we had some time to reflect, and we're also seeing that there are some positive aspects. Of course, depending on your worldview, how you perceive AI and how you perceive intelligence and so on and so forth. So let's just dive into this. This article is saying that South Africans are showing major interest in artificial intelligence, with their searches related to AI topics increasing by 370% over the last year. That's according to new research released by Google. I'm just wondering how new it is, because down here I'm seeing a post for something that's happened in 2023, but it looks like that maybe has not been updated. But this is just released this 18th of this month. So Google shows that searches for AI reached an all-time high in South Africa, with an increase of 650% over the last 5 years. So the last year, 370, 650, do the math. We've had an exponential growth within the last year. I don't know if that math makes sense. I'll have to ask my AI. Oh, and then the top questions were, can AI do math? No, just joking. The top question is, what is artificial intelligence? And that's number one. And number two, how to use AI. Yes, so these are the big issues. What is it and what are the use cases? Like, again, with personal AI, your use cases are only limited by your imagination. Truly, pick whatever field, whatever industry, whatever topic, whatever subject, whatever domain knowledge you have, and train up your AI and, figure out how you're going to use that, right? So this research also goes on to say that the top search, what is artificial intelligence, and actually what is the current situation of AI and what is generative AI, increased over 5,000%. So yes, AI is popping. So the trends, of course, come from the survey that I just showed you, which found that 91% of South African respondents felt that their daily lives will look different in 5 years from now because of AI. No doubt. Respondents also reported that AI was already having an impact on the way we access information. 81% of the way we learn, so educational aspects, and the way that we work, so 78 and 72% respectively. And in addition, respondents in South Africa, 60% of them were excited about the possibilities. So yes, personal AI is all about play and possibility. As I said, the use cases are endless. So you can use your imagination, you can play around, and you can try to discover the possibilities. So this article goes on to say that when it comes to AI's impact in the next 5 years, 82% of South Africans feel that AI will have a positive impact on their ability to understand complex topics. And 79% think it will benefit them. It will benefit the way that we learn. So I can agree with that. And personal AI, definitely, I've just starting to go down a rabbit hole of conversational analysis, because that's what it is. Language is the basis. Language is an infinite game. That's the basis of what it is to be human. We see this, we hear this from Indigenous peoples. What is the first thing that a settler colonial government will do? They'll take away the culture and try to remove the languages or the language of the Indigenous peoples. So it all starts with a word, and the word is language. And AI, positive feelings coming out of South Africa. And of course, let's see what else it says. It's great to see that people in South Africa show such a keen interest in the potential of AI as a transformative technology. People across the world will benefit from responsibly developed AI tools every day. So it's important to get this right. Here. Excuse me, my allergies. So it says when they asked about their confidence in who will oversee the development of AI in the best interests of the public or society, South Africans favored technology companies, 90%. Now, that's good news. Big tech startups, who are the technology companies is a question I have. Academic institutions, so your educational universities, which are also based in Eurocentric teachings for the most part, and government 50%, and armed forces is 61%. But the preferred method of collaboration, 91% of respondents said that they felt that government and technology companies should work together to educate students and workers about AI. So you have the governing forces as well as the entrepreneurs or the capitalists, or however you want to put the business technology companies, which are in business. There's no technology company that's around that's not generating profit. That's what the difference between information architecture and social information architecture is. One is commercial and the other is not commercial. It's focused on social, economic, political, spiritual, so on, problems, as opposed to the problem of efficiency. So how do we make more money with this thing? But anyhow, very positive overall. Yes, so we applaud South Africans for their open-minded approach to, well, as we know from the last video, they've already got a movement there in Africa, which recently convened near Johannesburg to discuss grassroots AI. And yes, grassroots AI is where it's at. We'll see you in the next video. Greetings. So let's go on to the second article that I've curated. This one comes out of the hornobserver.com. The tagline is Horn of Africa News and Information Hub. Unfortunately, they spelled the word information incorrectly. So information. There's two A's. Anyhow, this article is AI technologies, the double-edged sword of innovation and media capture, coming from the Horn of Africa Observer, the latest news. And actually, let me share my screen and you can see better what it is that I am looking at here with respect to the actual article. So it's published Tuesday, January the 9th, 2024 in latest news, by Robert Wanjala. And he is talking about the state of media in Kenya, and media, particularly what we used to call, well, print journalism or mass media. They're saying at the heart of, quote, in the heart of Kenya's vibrant media landscape, a quiet revolution is underway as artificial intelligence technologies progressively transform the traditional newsroom, from content creation to distribution to audience engagement. AI-powered tools are reshaping how journalists operate, bringing unprecedented efficiency and innovation to the forefront. Efficiency and creativity, sheer intellect and pure creativity, as I like to say, for personal AI. Anyhow, he goes on to say, however, there is a pressing concern, and that's the risk of media capture as algorithms and automation become integral to news production. Experts fear that this technological revolution could be a double-edged sword. So here I am defending the system user. As a matter of fact, I have on my Twitter X handle SU-SAN, which is short for system user, SU, and san being the Japanese phrase that you add on to a name to honor a person or show respect. So basically for me, it's a system user is respected. So sort of like an ethical stance, kind of, compressed into a single word with a dash between actually two words, Suzanne or Susan. anyhow, yes, this fear of double-edged sword of innovation and censorship is something we've seen play out with social media pretty much for the last, what, 5 years? Maybe arguably 10 years. Well, I've been tracking it since 2008, the Arab uprising. And then we had, what was it, Occupy movement, and then all sorts of social media movements, including here in so-called Canada. We also had one, I think it was called Idle No More. Indigenous peoples took to their social media, and that became an issue. So yes, we have a censorship, media censorship around the world, not just in Kenya, through the platforms of big tech social media. And this has become a big deal. So of course, we being those who are concerned about ethics and who maybe consider ourselves as tech stewards, are trying to steward the artificial intelligence and try to get it right this time, because we totally messed up, we being big tech, but of course, people work for these companies. So whether or not they engage in ethical discussions is what we're talking about with tech stewardship and ethics around AI. It's the ethics actually of the creators or the makers, or excuse me, businesses. So, you have the creatives who are not driven by bottom line, and you have businesses who are absolutely driven by bottom line media capture. That means more eyeballs, means more money. So obviously, controlling the narrative. Then we go deeper into ideologies and politics. So yes, they start to go into the political. We're not going to touch the politics, but soft media control, the article goes on, quote, is not new in Kenya. So however, its intensity and visibility increased significantly since 2013, when the Jubilee government assumed power. This is happening through advertising, and digital tools continues to be the biggest threat to media freedom, weakening the financial stability and credibility of media organizations. Yes, so advertising departments, of course, play a big role. That's, the money-making thing behind Google and ads, AdSense and Google Ads and algorithmic advertising. I mean, billions and billions of dollars. That's how it works. Capturing eyeballs, capturing data, feeding it to businesses so that they can advertise their products. So when advertising departments, it says, quote, become far bigger in decision maker, and while editors take responsibility, this dynamically affects how media organizations, and turning them into mere conduits for partisan reporting. Partisan, of course, is a big word in the United States, where one of the major players in the AI space. So we see a little more about how that has played out. I will leave the link in the notes below if you want to read the whole thing. But government spending control is significant. It's estimated that 30% of newspaper revenues come from government advertising. I'd be interested to know those stats for countries like the US and Canada, but that's the one for Kenya, excuse me. So the government has made the situation even more difficult. Yeah, we're not going to go into the politics, but the use of algorithms to distribute online news has raised concerns about transparency, objectivity, and fairness in newsrooms. Algorithms generate news based on predicting individual preferences or based on individual past consumers' information, how they capture your eyeballs and your attention. Excuse me. And they go on to say that clickbait, of course, these are all what we call tactics to, manipulate behavior. When we talk about ethics, we're talking about behavior. So one of the executive deputy director of Kenya's chapter of International Commission of Journalists says that AI-powered tools can help, quote, journalists analyze large amounts of data and uncover hidden insights for in-depth investigative reporting. However, journalistic standards must be adhered to when using AI driven tools to generate news articles. He points out the need to address issues such as the built-in biases or inaccuracies, deep fakes, and sensationalism that occurs in news curation, and of course, in the algorithm, which are cardinal ethical standards in journalism, which is that there should be fairness and accuracy. Yes, well, these are the ethics that social media itself has not adhered to, so it's kind of hard to hold the feet to the fire when it comes to AI, but we're trying. And then it goes on to say, quote, some from interviews with some editors, it was revealed that other AI tools are being used in Kenya's newsrooms, including Grammarly and Quillbot, to detect errors and simplify, rephrase sentences. AI chatbots are also being used to interact with audiences and gather feedback. Hey, this is good news because personal AI is more than a chatbot. It's actually not a simple algorithm. It's basically a small language model, the opposite of large language models, but the smallness allows you to actually train it yourself, train it up yourself specifically, and fine tune it indefinitely. So while ChatGPT is being used to analyze large chunks of text data through their large language models, identify and verify key facts and figures, minus all the hallucinations, of course, and also is being used for research and to tease out new angles or headlines. However, some editors are reluctant to use these tools directly, but while others are uncomfortable with AI-driven tools in the newsroom, period, the use of AI technologies in journalism raises concerns about an issue in low quality and polarizing content, which could further erode public trust in journalism. Of course, so we're talking about the social effects. So transparency is important. Olinga says that transparency is very important, and they constantly remind journalists to interview experts from various fields, and eventually people who have AIs that are experts, to provide real and fresh perspectives for their stories. He says that this is one of the steps to take to protect media freedom and journalistic standards from AI-driven tools in Kenya. To maintain editorial standards, we must monitor these tools that effectively flag, we must use monitoring tools, that effectively flag any fully AI-generated content, which may violate our established guidelines, and so on. Another professor, George Ogala, former lecturer and academic director of the MBA program at Strathmore University Business School, believes that AI tools will continue to bring about significant benefits despite human anxieties of losing control to automation. Well, if you don't want to lose control to AI, first train your own AI. These benefits include people's span of control, reducing human error, and providing, again, unprecedented efficiency. Another professor, George Nyaboga of the Aga Khan University Graduate School of Media and Communications, notes that most media consumers find it difficult to distinguish between AI-generated news and those written by humans. No doubt, he says, quote, this digital media and information illiteracy means that people can easily be deceived by increased misinformation and disinformation, which will ultimately affect the trust of the media and the journal, and therefore the freedom of the press. So yes, we know there's a lot of issues now with surveillance, with control of media, with all these new words, disinformation, misinformation, malinformation, according to the players in this, which include, of course, media, big tech, governments, and so on, because governments are, with respect to social media, using surveillance technologies to restrict, and as a pushback, governments also then restrict social media using surveillance tools, which snoop on voices that are critical to the government, which is usually media. That has been the role of having a democracy where you're allowed to criticize they call freedom of speech, I believe. So according to the source, quote, AI systems are being used to remove political views that are against the government. Well, that's happening everywhere in the world, not just in Kenya. But of course, the level of that is up to the Kenyans to decide. The news consumers also express concerns about the potential inherent bias in algorithms, which can be exploited for political or commercial interests. We know this, the biases are used again to basically control information and manipulate it for specific agendas. And yeah, so there's nothing really new about this, except it does show you what's going on, or the conversation that's going on in Kenya when it comes to AI in the mainstream media, shall we say. So thanks for your time. See you in the next video. All right, so the third article that I've curated that I want to take a look at today is from IT Online, IT Industry News Daily, entitled AI and Automation's Potential for Humanity. Again, another positive spin addressing AI largely in Africa. So let's take a look at this article and see what we can glean from it with respect to insights on AI in Africa. So this one is written January the 9th, 2024. It talks about how each industrial revolution has caused disruption, but not necessarily mean the net loss of jobs. While automation and artificial intelligence can eliminate jobs in industries, they also create new ones. So yeah, things keep changing. Technology technically is usually always disruptive at the beginning. Media itself is a disruptive force. Again, I've studied media with Marshall McLuhan media theories and so on, but it does have some other effects, which of course they're saying AI has already improved our lives, especially in the service industry, by increasing efficiency and giving us more free time for things like booking flights or ordering food. Well, myself personally, I use my free time to train my own AI on my knowledge so that I can use it to create more efficiency for myself, capacity, time, and capacity, and what's the third one? Forgotten right now. So anyhow, as AI impact goes deeper with potential benefits in medicine, education, and solving complex scientific problems, well, as a social information architect, I'm trying to solve wicked social problems. But yes, AI, for instance, in Japan, they use care bots to address the demand for elderly care. And also, they can, AIs obviously can help with repetitive tasks. So capacity, access, and time, sorry, those are the three. So the transformation, there we go, highlights the social economic impact of AI, leading to shifts in wealth distribution that require policymakers to adapt to an increasingly automated society that ensures that power and wealth aren't just concentrated in the hands of a few. So I guess in order to survive that and to move up the rungs of the social economic ladder, it's a good thing to have some critical skills for an AI-driven world. So critical, of course, having gone to art school, critical thinking is key to being an artist, or to examining art and its impact on culture and society and in its level of communications. Or as McLuhan said, the role of the artist is to wake people up or to update consciousness. So having AI literacy means that you can understand, the article says, AI's role in daily life, industries, and communities, including its definition, operations, strengths, and limitations. These are things that you should know. The 4 pillars for AI literacy, and this is great. So basic AI literacy is vital for everyone in today's AI-driven world, this article says, and even more AI-powered one that's coming. So yeah, become AI literate. Their 4 pillars are concepts, context, capacity, or capability, sorry, creativity. So concepts, content, capability, and creativity. So the conceptual level, to understand the fundamental concepts of AI and how it learns from data, and the connection between personal information and AI interactions. So this helps individuals comprehend its capabilities and limitations. So this helps you with use cases. One of the reasons we're having issues with how do I use this is that people don't even understand the basic concepts of AI. So people need to get up speed. There's a lot of great books out there. Context, and I'll be visiting those things as we move through my videos and my trip to 3 times ethical in Africa, my virtual experience. The next thing is context. Yes. So, Africa is a context within AI, or within which AI is being discussed. So AI literacy, excuse me, encompasses understanding fundamental AI concepts, again, how AI learns from data and connection between, oh, sorry, that's concepts. We're going to context, sorry, recognizing the importance of context. I'm sorry, I have a nose cold that moved into the throat today, so I apologize for the raspiness. Let's look at context. Of course, the importance of context in AI is crucial. It's important also not only in artificial intelligence, but in information architecture. So one of actually the key things, there's an entire book written about context. And so the strengths and the impacts and limitations of AI can vary depending on the situation or the use case. For instance, AI recommendations in entertainment might result in minor inconvenience, but in fields like healthcare or finance, these errors can be severe, have severe consequences. So industry leaders must prioritize best practices and manage the risks to enhance their ROI in different contexts or different use cases. And the use case is within a context. So, and then of course, your capability. So as it becomes more prevalent, individuals need to take action, which may include teaching children about privacy when interacting with digital assistants or digital AIs, doctors understanding AI tools for medical practice, or programmers integrating AI into their applications. So basically everyone try to figure out how AI is going to impact your life and, how you can learn about it and how you can utilize it, how you can use it to create the benefits and help, to stop the negative aspects of AI. So basically building relationship, making kin with machines, as Indigenous peoples have written in their paper from 2018. So AI literacy goes beyond understanding, involves the ability to apply AI concepts effectively in specific contexts. Well, actually, I would say that is the definition of understanding. As Richard Saul Wurman, the father of information architecture, has written in his book, Understanding Understanding, it's the ability, or it is the ability to effectively apply concepts within specific contexts that help with sense making or meaning making, which then is understanding. So we have these different levels of information, data information, knowledge, and then bubbling at the very top is the wisdom layer. So then that moves to creativity, the 4th one in the pillars for AI literacy. The 4th one is creativity. So as they continue to evolve, AI technologies will create new applications from generating music to writing books. So expanding your AI literacy and expanding it to diverse backgrounds and professions fosters creativity and the ability to envision innovative ways to use and benefit from AI technology. So again, circling back to the use case, as we saw in a previous article, the major questions are, what is artificial intelligence? And the number two is, how do I use it? So yeah, if you explore the concepts, you understand the context and the capability, or what we call the limitations, the constraints in information architecture, this will help you fuel your imagination and your creativity. As we know, the creative class includes, business owners, entrepreneurs, even people in doing work in government organizations. The creative class is sort of, intellectual, academic class that looks at things like concepts and context and capability. These words are part of their lexicon. So yes, if we envision ways to use AI and positively and critically examine the negative ways and put a stop to them, then the future looks good. So we need to have critical skills emphasized again, particularly in leadership and change management, in the adoption and the innovation of AI, in managing AI and the automation, and intelligence management. I like the word intelligence management, because to me, that's sort of like knowledge management. So knowledge workers, basically the whole premise was that, we went from just labor to knowledge work, which is more, abstract, more intellectual, more academic. But at the end of the day, when you walked out of the office as a knowledge worker, you're taking your asset with you, which is your knowledge, what you know. Now, with artificial intelligence, we're obviously talking about intelligence, not only our own, but that of an AI. And if we train the AI on our knowledge or our intelligence, then we're basically trying to manage intelligence, our knowledge base. And that's what personal AI is particularly good at. Whether you're an individual, a brand, or a business, you can take your knowledge base and train an AI up on it and continue to tweak it so it becomes more and more authentic. So yeah, it sums up, new jobs are coming. AI creates jobs with more value because your ability to be more creative, higher level thinking, bigger picture, less grinding and grunt work. So yeah, according to this, it's a great summary. I really like the 4 C's. Again, I'm going to actually call this video the 4 C's of AI literacy. Again, context, capability, concepts, and creativity. See you in the next one. Okay, so we have a couple more to wrap up these curated articles on basically social and ethical issues in Africa, particularly while we looked at Kenya and South Africa. Now, this article is sort of a different take. This is something that's happening. It's actually a workshop. It's called AI and the Afterlife. So this is, I'd like to share this information with you right now, so you can get a taste of another direction, or other ethical concerns when it comes to AI. So with this one, we're looking at, oh, there we are. We're looking at a workshop that's going to take place in May 2024. So in the spring, late spring. It's a one-day workshop. I know nothing about this other than I discovered it somehow while doing searches on certain keywords. But what I found interesting here is this quote from this article, which is offered by CFP. I don't think they mentioned who they are But anyhow, quote, recent advances in machine learning, particularly the advent of increasing capable general and multimodal generative AI models, that's a mouthful, raise profound questions that we must grapple with as a society over the coming years. These technologies will pervade and potentially transform a wide variety of social technical practices. There is already a widespread discussion of how AI might transform diverse aspects of modern society, particularly education, employment, entertainment, scientific inquiry, and military strategy. Got a handful of things that are being rapidly transformed. And then they say practices around death and dying are overlooked area of cultural importance that stands to be profoundly impacted by this changing technological landscape. Quote, AI technologies are likely to impact an array of practices around end of life and give rise to novel ones around end of life planning, remembrance, and legacy in ways that will have profound legal, economic, emotional, and religious ramifications. Already, we're beginning to see reports describing individuals attempting to use AI to interactively memorialize loved ones and the use of AI to posthumously complete unfinished creative works, and startup companies professing to offer AI-based afterlife services. So what I'm interested in this paragraph is the part about remembrance. So personal AI, if you read the thesis, you go to personal.ai, you read the theses from the founder, Suman, as to why he started personal AI. It has to do with memory, all about memory and recall, particularly his mentor, Larry Brock, who passed before he completed his first startup sale and then exited and then started this one. And he was so devastated by this because he could no longer access Larry and his guidance, his intelligence, his knowledge, his wisdom. So he said, hey, maybe I could create an AI and then I could put some of this information and knowledge that I have already and query it. And when I forget, maybe this AI could help guide me. So he did. He successfully created an AI which emulates Larry Brock, his former mentor, and actually gave it to his family, I believe, near Christmas of this year. And his family, of course, Larry was involved in technology, so they weren't totally freaked out. But his family said, yes, this does remind us of Larry very much, because actually Suman had even included the voice, or a synthesized voice, which we now have in personal AI. We're actually just, it's in beta still, but we're testing it out, and it's not long before you'll have either a text or a voice copy of the text. You can listen or read as is your preference, either, visual or audio, acoustic. So yeah, that has already been done, and that's the premise of personal AI. So that's why it caught my eye with respect to the second part here, the discussion, the practices. Let's see here, here it is, excuse me. So how AI, we're beginning to see reports. So this is a report I'm reporting to you describing individuals' attempts to use AI to interactively memorialize loved ones. So that is a story, not a report. We deal with narratives here. A story, a profound story that changed Suman's life and hence created personal AI when he tried to memorialize or created AI with the memories, stacking information as memories, so he could say at any point, what would Larry say? And ask Larry's AI a question. So yes, it summarizes here that, quote, at this critical moment of technological change, there is an opportunity for the HCI, the Human Computer Interaction Community, to shape the discourse on this important topic, as much as the HCI scholarship helps shape and understand practices regarding digital literacy and social media. So HCI, human-computer interaction, is actually foundational courses or body of knowledge or domain of knowledge that actually informs UX design, information architecture and research. So yeah, this is an important topic. We advocate for a quote, value sensitive and community-centered approach to designing interfaces, interactions, and systems that will empower people to shape their digital legacies. Hear, hear. So yes, my company, 3Times Ethical, we're advancing technology with deliberate values and positive behaviors. So value sensitive, advocate for value sensitive and community centered grassroots AI approach. Great. Well, that's it for this one. See you in the next. Cheers. So on to the next article, which comes to us from the IEE spectrum, triple E. It's actually IEEE spectrum. IEEE is an organization that's dedicated to advancing innovation and technology excellence for the benefit of humanity. It's the world's largest technical professional society, and it's designed to serve professionals in all aspects of electrical and computing fields and related areas of science and technology that underline modern civilization. Its roots go back to 1884. Wow, this is really a Eurocentric colonial organization. You know, when I started to do my MBA, and I realized that all of the curriculum originated in the 18th century, I was a little bit uncomfortable with that, and eventually decided that because there was usually only two options and I wanted a third, that I would pursue other avenues of knowledge. But yeah, so 1884, when electricity became the major influence in society. Very interesting. Marshall McLuhan talks about how we live in the electronic age, and in the electronic age, we wear all mankind, our womankind or humankind, as our skin. So that shows you how powerful the electricity is, the electronic age, the ability to communicate and interact and sympathize and empathize and have compassion for others, communicated through this medium, this technology known, or this currency known as electricity. And very interesting. So yeah, they've been around for a long time with the telegraph in the 1840s, and how they connected the world to data communication system faster than the speed of transportation. Business at the speed of light. That's what Bill Gates predicted. I'm not sure where he is now with respect to business, but telephone and electric power and light industries had just gotten underway. So yes, this article I'm going to share it with you as in this journal or this online digital website, and it's called Why AI Should Move Slow and Fix Things. So we'll take a look at the article itself. And here it is. So it came out actually last November. So that would have been about a year since the launch of ChatGPT, and it's written by Joy Buolamwini of the Algorithmic Justice League, and her fight for the Xcoded, what she calls the Xcoded. So this woman is very influential, and with respect to the bias of AI. In fact, the article says, quote, that Joy's AI research was attracting attention years before she received her PhD from MIT lab in 2022. So that's what, 2 years ago. And as a graduate student, she made waves with her TED Talk. I'll put that in the link below, about algorithmic biases, which received more than 1.6 million views to date. She is African American, who showed that the facial detection systems didn't recognize her face because unless she put on a white mask. So this just exposes the biases of all algorithms, which again, they're Eurocentric. Technology in this form is something that was created by Europeans. I'm not saying that other nations and groups, races didn't contribute, but yeah. So of course the predominant players have always been Europeans, particularly males. We know that history, but in her new book, Joy writes, Unmasking AI. The title is Unmasking AI, My Mission to Protect What's Human in a World of Machines. She describes her awakenings to the clear and present dangers of AI and explains her research on facial recognition systems and gender shades, our project, which shows that commercially gendered classification systems consistently misclassify dark-skinned women. And yeah, so she's had a lot of influence in the years since her TED Talk. She's also presented at the World Economic Forum, testified before Congress, and participated in Biden's roundtable on AI. So the article goes on to ask her some questions, the first one being, can you imagine a world in which every AI researcher is as scrupulous as you, or so scrupulous because she has figured out how the data collection method was not ethical. And she went on to devise a classification scheme and did the labor of labeling herself. And so her response is, quote, Joy says, when I was earning my academic degrees and learning to code, I did not have examples of ethical data collection. Just let that sink in. This is within the last, 5 years? No examples of ethical data collection. And now we've got this thing called ChatGPT, which is all the data in the world, which we're all querying because it's the central source of information. Well, she pulled the Band-Aid off that wound and exposed it for what it is. She goes on to say, quote, it can be difficult to imagine other ways of doing things, no doubt. There's no precedent. It's always been the one world view, the one bias for at least 500 years, if not more. And she says, I do believe there is a world where more AI researchers and practitioners exercise more caution with data collection activities because of the engineers and researchers who reached out to the Algorithmic Justice League, which she formed. I'm actually signed up on the website. You can go there and sign up yourself. She says, quote, change starts with conversation, and we're having important conversations today about data provenance, classification systems, and AI harms that when I started this work in 2016 were often seen as insignificant. So what is that? About 7 years ago, something like that, 8. Yeah, so the next question is, what can engineers do if they're concerned about algorithmic biases and other issues on AI ethics, and they work for a big tech company? What kind of place where nobody questions the use of data sets or asks how the data has been collected and whether there are any problems with the data, whether with respect to consent or bias? And so she said, Joy responds, I cannot stress the importance of documentation in conducting algorithmic audits and approaching well-known tech companies with the results. One issue that came up time and time again was the lack of internal awareness about the limitations of AI systems that are being deployed. So yeah, you see the role of the tech steward here, and also what we talked about with the 4 C's of AI literacy in order to understand, the limitations of these things, and yeah, the awareness of the limitations, and very important in AI literacy. So she goes on to say that provide these approaches, different approaches provide an opportunity to see data to use to train AI models, and performance of those models in various contexts is an important starting point. So there again, we have the word context. We refer to concepts and the capability of AI It's just important, she says, Joy says, to acknowledge the gaps so AI tools are not presented as working in a universal manner where they're optimized for just a single context, which is basically large language models and ChatGPT right now. You're querying them as opposed to personal AI, where you train up your AI indefinitely, fine-tuning it constantly on your knowledge base. And at worst, presenting your own bias, but not representing the entire planet with what you churn out, spew out, reply in conversation politely as being, information, knowledge, wisdom. So she goes on to say, Joy, it can be helpful not to view AI ethics separately from developing the systems. Yes, so that's what tech stewards do. We're talking about getting in there at the ground level when you're doing your research still. Before you've started any sketches and drawings, you've got a problem to solve, or a wicked problem, maybe a social problem or a commercial problem, whatever. You need to do the UX research, so ethical research from the get-go, which is more times than not just dismissed as being frivolous and not important, but actually it's key to the ROI. You cannot guarantee investment on whether your product will work if you haven't even spoken to the users of the product and done the research and homework from the very beginning, and then applied that to the solution and determined whether it would be harmful for your users or not. But getting back to the ethics here, if your tool doesn't work, Joy says, if your tool doesn't work as well on people or women or people of color, you are at a disadvantage compared to companies who create tools that work well for a variety of demographics. Okay, so last but not least, we've looked at AI ethics, some ethical and social issues in Africa, which also extend into the rest of the world, and particularly America, with some leading edge thinking coming out of that, which will influence AI everywhere. But this last article is on the moral status of AI entities. This one comes from Springer Link, which apparently is part of Springer Link Nature, delivers fast access to depth and breadth of our online collection of journals, ebooks, reference books, and protocols. So yeah, interestingly, I'm going to share my screen here and take a look at this article on the moral status of AI entities. Of course, this piqued my interest because of the paper 2008, Making Kin with Machines paper. This one is filed under Ethics of Artificial Intelligence. This is a chapter out of the book, I guess, on the moral status of AI entities, written by 3 authors, Joan Lorca Albarreta, Paloma Garcia, and Francesco Lara, released on January the 1st, 2024, from part of a book on International Library of Ethics, Law, and Technology. The abstract reads that, quote, the emergence of AI is posing serious challenges to standard conceptions of moral status. New biological entities are able to act and make decisions rationally. The question arises in this regard as to whether AI systems possess or can possess the necessary properties to be morally considerable. And in this chapter, we've undertaken to systematic analysis of the various debates that are taking place on the moral status of AI. First, we've discussed the possibility that AI systems, by virtue of the new agental capabilities, can be understood as a moral agent. Discussions between those defending the mentalist and anti-mentalist positions reveal many nuances and particularly relevant theoretical aspects. Second, given that an AI system can hardly be an entity qualified to be responsible, we have delved into the responsibility gap and the different ways of understanding and addressing it. And third, we provided an overview of the current and potential patience capabilities that AI systems possess. This has led us to analyze the possibilities that AI possess moral patience. And in addition, we have addressed the question of the moral and legal rights of AI. Finally, we introduced the 2 most relevant authors of the relational turn on the moral status of AI. Mark Kokelberg and David Grunkel, who have been led to defend the rational approach to moral life as a result of the problems associated with the ontological understanding of moral status. Great. Well, this all looks good. The only problem here is, what happened to the Indigenous worldview on making kin with machines, the 2018 paper, which I cannot stop talking about enough, because that has some sort of relationship to grassroots AI happening in Africa. And if you connect the dots, there is a different worldview. So again, we're looking at here is a Eurocentric worldview on the morality of agents and rationality, and things like patience, moral patience, and capabilities and consideration, considerable, which means they have considerable consideration for the feelings of others, anyhow, so this is very interesting, but again, it's only analyzing the existing Eurocentric worldview as opposed to Indigenous worldview. So if you really want true two-eyed seeing, which is, two different worldviews, dramatically different worldviews, not somewhat different, not mentalist versus anti-mentalist positions. We're talking about worldview where non-human relationships are cultivated with animals, plants, trees, rocks, stones, and anything that is, made from those things, which is what computers are made from, silicon and elements from the earth. So Indigenous people honor that, and they see that in their worldview and suggest we make kin. And here, we're just questioning whether or not there is a moral status at all. So morality is playing right away as opposed to just being part of a connected whole. So I'm going to leave this link down in the show notes. I must say there's incredible notes here. Just on notes, if you look here, you've got notes here. Animals and ecosystems have previously been morally considered, but instrumentally so. Here is the no, Indigenous people wasn't instrumental, it was central. So these are examples of doctrine, duties towards animals because of cruel treatment, and so on and so forth. Again, a Eurocentric view of